Now, please welcome Jessica Muñoz to the stage.
Okay, good evening. My name is Jessica Muñoz. I'm a survivor of sexual assault in the setting of intimate partner violence. I went through re-traumatizing systems designed to help as a witness in a criminal court case, family court, and administration of child services. After a violent assault, I was forced to move to a domestic violence shelter, not a sanctuary shelter. This is where my son and I lived jail style with a 9 p.m. curfew, and I had to ask for permission to go to my night's ER tech job at New York Presbyterian Hospital. As a victim, psych, you thought you were getting a victim narrative this evening. No, we're not doing this on the 40th anniversary of Sanctuary for Families, because this organization is focused on helping survivors, overcomers, rebuild. Sanctuary threw me a lifeline during the crisis phase, holding my hand through criminal and family court proceedings, protecting me, empowering me with an understanding of the legal system. They showed love with therapeutic services, including body work, not just your usual talk therapy. Yes, this organization addresses trauma stored in the body with somatic interventions that involve movement and breathing, trauma-informed boxing, strength training, and dance. Tonight, I want to talk about my role as a survivor leader with Sanctuary and introduce you to survivor leadership culture, because it is this culture that sets Sanctuary apart from the rest. Survivor leadership culture is what makes us the special forces of responding to and preventing gender-based violence. We are efficient and elite. Let me tell you why. A survivor leader is someone who reinvests their lived experience, expertise, and cultural expertise to change organizations and systems. Survivor leadership culture is respecting said expertise and regarding a survivor as a technical expert in the workplace. I'm talking compensated work, not just gift cards and stipends. Peer leadership has been normalized for decades in substance use circles, but trauma-informed circles remain outdated, omitting this approach. Not Sanctuary. When we talk about gender-based violence to mainstream audiences, the focus tends to remain on the crisis phase, but this victim narrative chronicles the time when we are at our worst. We've been robbed of everything we have. Our PTSD symptoms are not yet managed. Chaos was our home, and after leaving the abuser, we remain in survival mode as we receive responsive services. Most providers spend the most time with us when we are at our very worst, physically and mentally. The real magic happens further down the timeline when we reach the chapter that is long-term survivorhood. We may continue to experience PTSD symptoms, but they're well managed. We're stable, formally educated, or in the process of that. By the way, I started in the nursing home cleaning up code browns when I was with my abuser, and I couldn't finish nursing school. My biggest flex is that I gained all my higher education after I left my abuser. Thank you. Today, I am a licensed mental health counselor in New York State and a doctoral student. My focus is researching the impact of trauma-informed strength training on management of PTSD symptoms in sexual assault survivors. When I do my job, I lean on my lived experience the most. Yes, I work within the bounds of ethics and my license, but that vital therapeutic rapport is on fast forward because of my lived experience expertise. I move as someone trauma-informed, but quite simply, the vibe is on point. I'm turning 43 this year. I really didn't want to mortgage a PhD. I did it though because yes, I'm one of those women with a lot to prove. I wanted to produce survivor-designed research. Most of all, I wanted to be heard, to be taken seriously. You see, I'm a visible survivor. The phrase, I'm a survivor, always comes first with me. It's never an add-on. I shouldn't need a PhD for buy-in, yet I found without it, my expertise wasn't heard or respected. So tonight, I invite you to introduce yourselves to my fellow survivor leaders. They're right over there at a table at the back. And please remember those names if you speak to them. They're the experts you call on if you want your organization to be trauma-informed. if you want internal knowledge of going through re-traumatizing systems designed to help, if you want to make a dent in that oppressive system that we know it really needs bulldozing and rebuilt, well, survivor leadership culture makes a visible dent in that system. It is cost-effective, efficient, and the key to prevention of gender-based violence. Because putting out fires is expensive. That's why I want you to invest in pathways to long-term survivorhood this evening. That is what Sanctuary are doing. We are the change makers, critical thinkers, here to enhance the self-awareness of providers. The literature says the cultural identity of a provider greatly influences interpretations of assessment. Survivor leadership culture turns the focus on the provider and their biases. The wiseness trauma brings renders us the most qualified when it comes to the vibe check. Our hypervigilance is useful. You start getting trauma-informed when you examine what you bring into a room. And if, like me, you walk around wearing that white privilege every day, reaping those benefits, enhancing that self-awareness is even more important. I want to thank my Sanctuary team, attorneys Rebecca Moy, family law, Lauren Patel, matrimonial law, my therapist, Ali Salwa, and Lucia Gonzalez, Sanctuary Survivor Leader Coordinator. Sanctuary, we are the MVPs of gender-based violence prevention. So this evening, I invite you to propel Sanctuary from the trailblazers of survivor leadership to international leaders in the field we need. Thank you, everyone, for showing up for us tonight. Gracias.